Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmad Abdullah Jamil. Today I am going to present my research on graph-based intrusion detection and automated containment for enterprise networks. So let's talk about the problem context. Enterprise networks include campus PCs, VPN users, cloud services, IoT devices, and critical systems like AD, LDAP, email, finances, and LMS. Attacks such as phishing and credentials theft are often unavoidable. After the first compromise, attackers do lateral movements to reach high value targets. Perimeter defenses don't help much once they are inside, but shutting down whole subnet causes downtime and SLA violations. So we need an algorithmic decision support system that can detect a spread, prioritize threats, and contain attacks with minimal disruption. Now let's talk about the system modeling. We model the network as a dynamic directed graph where G is equal to VE, updated from telemetry like netflow, auth logs, EDR, IDS, and DNS. Nodes represent devices and services, each with a critically scored RV. Edges represent allowed communications like SSH, RDP, SMB, and HTTPS. Each edge has a dynamic weight W, U, V, where it equals to base cost plus firewall penalty minus anomaly score. Lower weight means an easier or more suspicious route for an attacker. So let's talk about the objectives and constraints. Our goals are to reduce breach impact, respond faster, minimize service disruption, and remain reliable despite noisy alerts. At the same time, we must respect SLA downtime limits, a quarantine quota, Qmax, and a limited SOC capacity, CSOC. Now I am going to talk about the algorithms I have used to solve our problems. The first, I am going to use BFS or TFS for lateral movement reachability. First, we use BFS starting from one or more suspected compromised machines. BFS explores the network level by level, so it naturally tells us which nodes are reachable in one hop, two hops, up to k hops through currently active edges. In security terms, this given an exposure region. If device A is infected, BFS shows all devices that A can potentially reach through allowed connections like SMB, RDB, or SSH. This is important for quickly estimating the blast radius and identifying which subnets or services are at immediate risk. We also use DFS, depth first search, mainly to understand dependency structures and cycles. For example, when services depend on each other in a chain, or when there are cyclic communication patterns after containment actions, DFS can help recompute connected components to confirm the compromised area is actually isolated. Both BFS and DFS run in big O of V plus E time, which is fast enough to rerun repeatedly as telemetry updates the graph. Secondly, we are going to use Dijkstra to reveal the most likely attack paths. So in Dijkstra algorithm, or as an optimization to find the most likely attacker movement routes. Here each edge has a dynamic weight W, U, V that represents attacker effort or resistance. For example, an edge may have higher weight if a firewall policy makes it harder to cross, and lower weight if the anomaly score is high, meaning suspicious activity suggests that route is currently easier or being attempted. Running Dijkstra from an entry node to critical targets like domain controllers or financial servers gives the lowest cost path, which we interpret as the path of least resistance for an attacker. Beyond one path, we can also track choke points, nodes or edges that appear frequently in the top shortest paths. Those become high priority monitoring or blocking points because stopping traffic there can protect multiple critical assets. With a mean heap, Dijkstra run in about big O of E plus V log B, which is still practical for enterprise scale graphs. Next, we are going to use max flow or mean cut for surgical containment. We use max flow or mean cut principle so we can make response surgical instead of shutting down whole subnets. We create a super sources S connected to all confirmed compromised nodes and a super sink T connected to critical assets. Then each network edge gets a capacity Cu, V representing the business cost of blocking that connection. High capacity for essential business links, lower capacity for less important ones. When we compute max flow, the corresponding minimum cut gives the cheapest set of edges to remove so that the compromised site cannot reach the critical site. So the algorithm doesn't just isolate everything, it finds the containment boundary that blocks attacker pulse while minimizing SLA impact. We can use Dinnick's algorithm or Edmonds curve to compute this cut. Next, we are going to use greedy scheduling plus priority queue for SOC triage and path allocation. So here, each incident gets a risk score. Risk is equal to severity into asset value into confidence. The system always responds to the highest risk incident first, like quarantining the most dangerous host or blocking the most critical link. Then it continues down to queue as SOC capacity allows. Priority queue operations take big O of log n per insert or extraction, so it scales well. For path patching, we also use a greedy efficiency idea. Prioritize patches with highest risk reduction per unit time, so we get maximum improvement within limited maintenance windows. So I thank you for hearing my presentation. Assalamu alaikum.